Señores, cuídense, que ellos andan bobo. En la Norfolk, aquí en Marapán. Aquí en Marapán. Aquí tienen la niña. La niña. Y el papá lo montaron en esa guagua blanca.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Immigration Judge William Soffer, sitting in the Immigration Court in Portland, Oregon. These are removal proceedings. Do you understand what these proceedings here in court are all about? Do you know what a lawyer is? No? Do you have a lawyer? No? The respondent is present in court, but without an attorney. Sophia, good morning. Are you a little nervous this morning? See? You know what a lawyer is?
We have some news right now. ICE detained a toddler, a mother, and a grandmother, all United States American citizens, just because they overheard them speaking Spanish. According to Telemundo Puerto Rico, these 3 American citizens were taken into custody in Milwaukee, Wisconsin after ICE agents overheard them speaking Spanish. This included a toddler. A member of their family says that they were taken into custody while shopping at a local department store, and they didn't have a chance to speak with ICE agents until they were at the detention facility. And when they arrived, they tried to explain to ICE agents that they were born in Puerto Rico, that they are American citizens. And it wasn't until after they provided documentation of proof that ICE agents apologized and that they were eventually released. According to the Daily Beast, Daryl Marine, the national president of the Hispanic advocacy group Forward Latino, has confirmed that these 3 individuals were detained by ICE. More and more American citizens are being caught up in these mass deportation raids, and it really seems like racial profiling at this point. I'm going to do a full breakdown of this on my Substack shortly at the link in my bio, so subscribe there and follow me on this platform and my Instagram, YouTube, and...
How can they just take me away? Where's my freedom of speech? Like, that's not cool, bro. Like, I don't care what nobody say. They can't just come to my school, wherever I'm at, tie me up, make me get in the car, go with them, and just send me off to who knows where. Like, that's just not cool. Freedom, I need my freedom of speech back. Like, we should all, this is not right. I need help, prayers, anything y'all can send. Like, I don't, just anything, y'all, please. Everything might look good, but inside is not. They didn't took my mom away. I just want to be free. I just know the time coming real soon. I don't know when though. That's the crazy part. Like, I could be talking to you about my situation right now. They could come up and you just never know. Like, my name is in the system. I go to this college, which I don't want to say it just in case they might see the video. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, they taking all my loved ones away. I mean, I have other love for other people, but my closest one, my brother, my mom, this can't be true.
5-year-old American citizen was detained by ICE because he was overheard speaking Spanish with his mother and grandmother in a department store in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Despite his mother repeatedly telling ICE officers in English that all 3 of them had American citizenship and were born in Puerto Rico, they were forcibly put onto a bus and sent to a detention center. It wasn't until after they arrived at the detention center that they were given the opportunity to speak with an ICE officer and prove that they were in fact American citizens. At this point, the family then had to pay out of pocket for a rideshare service to pick them up and take them back to the department store where they were unlawfully detained. The grandmother's health was so negatively affected by this whole ordeal that she had to seek medical attention, which the family also had to pay out of pocket for. This is literally what we said would happen, and it's happening. The difference between a documented immigrant and an undocumented immigrant is that there is no difference. When you see them in the street or at a department store, you can't tell. It's open season on all of us, and this was not even a family of immigrants. They were American citizens. Immigrants and U.S. citizens, for that matter, should not have to carry documentation with us all the time. We have to now out of safety, but would you feel safe bringing your passport or social security card or birth certificate with you every time you left the house? Every time you went to the grocery store or rode the subway? No, you wouldn't. And if you don't have to, then we shouldn't have to. Documents can be easily stolen and are hard to replace. If you don't stand up for your neighbor now, there's not going to be anybody left to stand up for you.
Homeland Security deported my 5-year-old client, a little girl from Guatemala, last week, and I am fighting for her freaking life because I need to get her back in the United States so that she can obtain her green card through the special immigrant juvenile status, which is a process that we are in the middle of doing. I'm outraged by their lack of consideration, their lack of humanity, and the trauma that they have caused this child. She came here several years ago when she was a baby. So that means she doesn't know Guatemala. She doesn't know family, friends, school, or anything in her home country. Everything she knows from her little tiny developed brain as a child is here in America. And within a couple of days, she was ripped from her home, ripped from her community, from her school, from everything she knows, and sent back to Guatemala. And the way that ICE did it is also part of the reason why I'm so pissed, because they set her dad up. Tanya Maggione, who's one of our associate attorneys in our office, has been working very closely with this client and her dad. Just a few weeks ago, at the end of September, she was able to negotiate with Homeland Security attorneys, and Homeland Security agreed and dismissed her case. We signed a motion, Homeland Security signed a motion saying, look, this is not a priority for us. We're really not interested in pursuing deportation against this little girl. Judge, you can dismiss the case. And the judge did. A few days after the case was dismissed, ICE calls up her dad and says, hey, we want to make sure that your daughter is in fact your daughter, that you're her biological parent. You know, there's a lot of trafficking happening with children in the United States. All sounds very logical, very reasonable and true. Can you come in with her birth certificate and bring her in with you? We did not know this was happening. If the client would have told us that that's what ICE asked, we would have said, this doesn't sound right. That's a setup. ICE doesn't ask to see children like that. But he shows up with her, and what does ICE proceed to do? They detain him. They handcuff him. They detain her. They don't give him the opportunity to call our office. We heard about this through a U.S. citizen daughter that he has. They were put on a plane and sent back to Guatemala. The officer saw and knew that the little girl's deportation case was dismissed, and they illegally put this child on a plane and sent her to Guatemala when she was in process legally through the proper channels and laws to get her green card. This is really appalling. I've never had this happen to a client before, especially a child who's 5 years old. And her dad begged. He said, I have a daughter who's a citizen. She lives here too. Can you please just let my child go with her? And they refused to release her, and they sent her back home with her dad. When my team reported this to me, I said, absolutely not. This is unacceptable. We are going to do whatever we need to do to get this child back. I was on the phone with them, working with attorney Tanya from my office, putting together the evidence, the arguments, and what we need to do so that ICE can send a plane down to Guatemala to go get this child and bring her back. Her life is here in the United States, and she was on her way to a green card. And PSA, folks, if you have an immigration attorney, please make sure you call us before you take action on different things, because you don't know how that's going to affect you.
ICE is kidnapping international students and making them disappear. ICE is stalking and forcibly kidnapping students with valid visas. They usually wait until they're alone and swarm them with masks on. And one kidnapping who was caught on camera was from a student who went to Tufts University. Bystanders that saw it happen asked the ICE agents why they were wearing masks.
Why are they arresting these students?
Well, one of the students they called a Hamas supporter because she participated in Free Palestine protests. So they stalked her, revoked her visa, and deported her.
That fast?
Faster than you running from the cops. Over 300 visas have now been revoked. So an ICE agent made a statement saying, we gave you a visa to come study and get a degree, not become a social activist and tear up university campuses. I agree with them. You shouldn't go to another country with a visa and start problems in their country.
What about the students who got deported that weren't on any protests?
You act like I don't care about their lives. If ICE says you did something, they have every right to put on masks, kidnap you, stalk you, and deport you all at their discretion without proof.
That sounds highly irresponsible.
Yeah, well, it's too late. ICE Gang 2025. The enemy Republican will no longer prosper. America is finally great again.
This morning I took my kid to school and I went ahead and stayed and had breakfast with him, right? So the principal came into the cafeteria after all the kids were done eating, and he basically made an announcement. He told the kids that he knows that a lot of them are worried about ICE coming into their school and taking them away. He let them know that they have nothing to worry about, that he will never allow them to enter. He said over his dead body would they enter. He assured those kids that they do not need to be afraid. The way that these kids look concerned was just heartbreaking. The fact that kids are being targeted by ICE, what business do you have in an elementary school questioning children? That just blows my mind. Anyway, the principal told them they will not enter the school. You do not have to worry. Let your parents know that they do not have to worry and to keep on sending you to school. The fact that this is reality right now, the fact that he even has to have that conversation with the children, their children, it's just...
ICE agents in Chicago tried to get into a school, and you know what happened? The teachers said no. The staff said no. CPS said no. Everybody said no. Are you getting it now? They left because nobody let them do it. Their job only has merit because we give it merit. Fuck these clowns. Get unscared. These guys are fucking losers. So much so that they went and do you know how much of a loser you have to be to make this your job? Get real, bro. They're not scary. They're not real. They have no power over us, the people. So fucking move. You feel that in the air? You feel that?
ICE came like at 2 o'clock in the morning, and my mom always prepared us for this moment, and she was like, un día va a venir inmigración y el día que vengan, ustedes no hablan español, no hablan inglés, like, ustedes nunca vayan a hablar inglés en frente de a los que vienen. And we're like, okay. So when they came at 2 o'clock in the morning, they took me, my sister, and my mom to a detention center. And we were just in jail with my mom, me and my sister, even though we were born here in America. But that was her whole plan. She was like, no nos van a preguntar si tenemos papeles. Y ustedes son nacidas aquí, entonces cuando they find out, I'm going to call my lawyers and I'm going to sue ICE because they are detaining you guys illegally. And
so they didn't even ask. They literally just showed up.
No, they just showed up. They took us and they're like, these little girls, they're, you know, this is their mom. They're illegal too. They don't speak English. That's, you know, so they took us and my mom was like, I actually want to speak to my lawyer. My daughters have been in jail with me for 3 days. Like, I really, you know, like, I think it's time for me to talk to a lawyer because you guys haven't even asked if they have papers, which they were born here. That was like a whole thing. They started panicking. They were like, fuck, we fucked up. So they let me and my sister out into the street. They like released us. It was like early in the morning, like 3 a.m. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have jackets. Like, you know, we've been in this detention center for a while, and then they let us go. And then my sister was probably like 7 years old, and I was like 16. And I like grabbed her by the hand and walked like 5 miles to find like a McDonald's. And I knock on the door, and I ask this muchacho like, hey, can I please borrow your phone? Like, I really need to call someone to come help me. Like, my she's in jail. And they're like, damn, this girl's mom's crazy. But no, she was like in the detention center. And then my uncles came to come and pick us up. And literally we called the lawyers. And then within like the week, my mom was free. And they had like settled on a deal where she would get her papers in exchange of her like not pursuing legal action. And so that was a process of 1.5 years, and then she finally got her